Sometimes people start noticing changes in someone long before they even say anything about it. And those quiet observations can make someone realize something really interesting. And it'll make them start seeing things about you that they never noticed before. So take a moment and choose the pile you feel drawn to. We have pile 1 with the Amethyst, pile 2 with the Onyx, pile 3 with the Rose Quartz, pile 4 with the Clear Quartz. Take some time if you need some privacy, go ahead and do that. You can listen to this podcast style, you can listen to this live style. Either way, we'll start with pile 1, and there's going to be a bonus collective message at the very end for anyone who decides to stick around. So we'll meet you there. Bye. Pile 1. If you chose the Amethyst, this is all about self-protection and spiritual growth. So this feels like independence on someone's side. So for this group, the thing they've been noticing about you, that they've been quietly noticing about you, didn't appear all at once. It was gradual. It was small changes in the way you responded to things. And at first, they weren't really sure if they were just imagining it or just being dramatic, because nothing dramatic had happened. So let's lay a few cards out just to see what triggered this moment to begin with. Oh, yeah. So one of the first times they notice this change happens during a situation where they expected you to react. Do you see that? So they expected you to reply right away, be like right there. They expected you to come running. So they pulled attention away, or they said something to get you to chase them or to get you to react. That's what this feels like. And in the past, like historically, it feels like that is what went down with you guys. But I think that they were expecting you to notice it, try to figure out the energy behind it. But this time, you don't do any of that. You're like, no thanks. I'm just going to keep going. Like you just kept eating. Like I feel like you guys were out to eat or something and you just kept eating. Here's Aquarius. Oh, and Aries. And that's the first moment where something begins to stand out to them. You're calm. You're grounded. Almost like unbothered by them. Just unaffected. Just living your best life. You're not chasing getting clear about things. You're not overanalyzing situations. You're not... you're just chilling. So they assume it's temporary. You have Virgo here too, and Aries and Aquarius. I don't know if I said that. And they're saying, oh, she's just got things on her minds. She's got things on her mind. She's busy. He's Libra. They see you active online. Do you see that? You're just posting simple shit about your day, an update, a photo, a random thought, a funny joke, and they're like, wait, she didn't share it with me first. And it's like they can see that you've changed. Do you see that? You're genuinely focused on your own life, on your own happiness. You're not distracted. You're in your own mind. You're occupying your own thoughts here. And that makes them pause and they're like, wait, this is them. They're like, wait, what? She used to be giving me things all the time. I used to be her number one. You know what I mean? So it's interesting though, because the thing that really catches their attention is this. It's even smaller than that. It's the way you respond when they do reach out. So at some point, this person messages you and it's from an emotional state, but it was like layered as like casual. Like they just act like it was nothing. But it would normally reopen something. Like they were like, oh, do you remember that time? Blah, blah, blah. And you respond with, oh, okay, that's nice. Lovers, that's Gemini and Cancer here. You're chill. That's nice. Yeah, I do remember that. That was a good time. That's it. You don't elaborate on it. You don't want to talk about it more, You don't need to talk more about what they said. You're just going back to bed. You're just going back to sleep. This may have been like a late at night text. Okay, yeah, I'm going to bed now. Good night. You don't try and keep the interaction going like you're over it. You just reply and then continue on with your evening or your day. Here's Sagittarius and here's Capricorn. Now let's lay a few cards out to see what they realized here. Okay, so first of all, we have Pisces here. Okay, so this is them realizing you're literally not surrounding them anymore. They're like, this is you in your own head. Again, see how similar these cards are? That's the meaning behind it. And this is them just feeling so upset. You feel like super stable, like super grounded, more like you got your shit together. And sometimes like situations reinforce that, obviously, right? So this person might hear about you through someone else, like a mutual friend or like a coworker or something. Here's Scorpio. Someone will casually mention something about you and they're like, oh, he's like hearing, oh, she's been busy. Okay. She's spending time with people. Okay. Here's Taurus. Oh, she's really doing that thing she said she was going to do. Okay. That's like the vibe. And it's not someone like rubbing it in their face. It's just like just sharing, and it's not gossiping or anything like that. It's just talking, talking about you moving forward. That's it. That's when they start noticing something. Here's Leo. You feel comfortable directing your energy towards your own life, your own path. And the sun's here. This is a new beginning. So at this point, their mind starts like comparing the present with the past, like where you guys are at. They remember how attentive you used to be, and now you're just all your head's in the books. You might be studying something now. How aware you were of the connection, How much effort you used to put in, how you used to keep yourself trapped. You used to stay home just to keep them happy. You would keep your phone on loud because they said, don't miss my text. You were the one that was like their ride or die, but it feels like it was taken advantage of. But now it feels like your emotional center like is somewhere else. So look at that. They have painful memories. And it's all these micro moments, you know what I mean? Where they're noticing it. They see you somewhere. They're feeling lonely without you. See that? They just can't even make decisions by themselves. They're all out of sorts. And you're just vibing, going about your day, doing your own thing. And like the one thing that really stands out in this reading is your vibe is super relaxed. You're not scanning the room. You're not reacting to their presence. You're not worried about every word you say. You're not worried about their attention anymore. You just feel like comfortable. Like you just feel like you're out of the game. You're comfortable in your own space. And that's when the realization deepens. You have real independence now. And you're no longer adjusting your emotions based off of their reaction. You're not waiting for someone to show up at a certain time or waiting someone to text you at a certain time. You're not trying to keep control of that relationship. You're just relaxing and not being controlled anymore by people. And that freedom is something they've been definitely noticing and fighting to get back. What this realization begins revealing to them is this. Look, the Hanged Man and the Nine of Pentacles. It's something they didn't fully appreciate before. So your emotional presence, your part in the relationship was extremely meaningful. You were someone who cared, someone who invested, someone who tried to understand both sides of the story instead of immediately jumping on them or immediately saying, okay, that's it, it's over, throwing the towel in. But now that your energy feels like independent, like you don't need them, like you're not scared to lose them, they can see the difference. And now they're clinging on. So they're realizing something very important here. Your attention was never something that could be taken for granted. Because when someone who once gave a lot of emotional energy becomes grounded and safe within themselves, that change becomes extremely, extremely noticeable. Not dramatic, not loud, just clear. So the thing they've been quietly noticing about you is this. It's this emotion in them. They can't figure it out, but it's where you're becoming independent, where you're calm, where you're focused on your own life, and where you're no longer reacting to everything they say. And through those moments, they've began to realize something. You're not the same person you used to be. You're 10 times stronger now. You trust yourself more now. And this confidence that you're giving off is like definitely something they're catching onto. Like even if they're not going to say anything out loud to you about it, they're catching on. So thank you so much for joining us. There is a bonus collective message at the end of this video. So follow us there. Otherwise, you can feel out pile 2 and see if anything resonates. I'll see you there. Bye. Pile 2, welcome. You chose the black onyx. This is all about self-protection and grounding yourself. Okay, so for this group, the thing they've been quietly noticing about you is something that didn't happen through one big moment like pile 1. This happened through little baby moments, little micro moments, situations where your behavior started showing something new to them. Okay. So at some point, the way people access your time, your attention, and your energy began to change, and they noticed that. Let's lay a few cards to see what actually triggered this moment. Okay. The first moment where the shift stands out happens during a normal interaction where you're carrying all the weight. And this is Libra, they might send you a message the way they usually do. Something casual, something random, a meme, just something super light that would normally turn into like a longer conversation. It'd be like a conversation opener, And your response, you're polite, friendly, completely normal, not rude at all. But the conversation is just like ended after that. You respond to what they said. Here's Aquarius, But you don't stretch the conversation beyond that. You acknowledge the message and then you move on with your day. Let's lay a few more out here. See if they notice. So like I said, you have Libra and Aquarius. So at first they don't think too much about it. People get busy. This is communication. People have responsibilities, But then there's this similar situation coming up here. This person reaches out a second time, starts another conversation with you. Something small, something familiar, might need help making a decision. And once again, you respond kindly, but short. Here's Scorpio and here's Taurus. You're keeping the interaction contained, controlled on your own terms. You're not being cold. You're just not giving unlimited access to your time anymore, to your emotions anymore. You know what I mean? But the thing that really makes them go into this tower moment here isn't even the convo itself. Like it's the way you just seem comfortable with that distance, with the boundary. And here's Sagittarius. So this person keeps trying to extend the interaction with you. They're going to ask more questions. They're going to bring up something that normally would kind of like pull you into a longer discussion, something you're passionate about. Here's Capricorn. But your response is still just kind, chill, respectful. Pisces right here. But you answer the question, yes. But then you wrap up the conversation just Naturally, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go. I got to run. Like, can't talk. I'm driving. Something like that. Here's Virgo. And then that's the end of the interaction. So let's just lay a few more out to see what they realized when you did that. Oh, yeah. So that's when it started happening. Your availability isn't automatic anymore. And it took them a while to realize that. So I feel like in the past, they assumed they could reach you whenever they wanted to talk. Here's Cancer here. Whenever they wanted to reconnect. But now you're coming across as guarded to them. Do you see that? Your responses are only happening when you choose to engage, not because you feel like you have to. And then another observation they had was like another moment here. Do you see that? The sun. Maybe they noticed you were like taking longer to respond, or you were reading text and yeah, like I feel like they're looking at your read receipts and saying like, oh, it's been like an hour. Why aren't they replying? And here's Aries here. Why aren't conversations flowing throughout the day? Like we used to talk all day. What's going on? This is what they're thinking. And your replies are later and later when you have time, when you want to talk to them. And like, it's not that delay in replying as well that stands out. It's like they're worried that you're not worried about talking to them. Does that make sense? So when you respond, it's when you want to. I feel like this person also like notices other things at times. Like maybe they see you spending time with other people, friends, family, coworkers. Maybe they see something on social media, a pic, a story, something from your day, a song you shared, and they start noticing something about your lifestyle. Your life seems fine. It seems full. It seems fun. You're busy. Your attention is like towards things that matter to you now, not just them, you know? And I think they expected you to sit around and wait for them to reach out. But interesting. What really starts to make them think is something even smaller than that. Do you see this? Knight of Wands and building something. It's the way that you're handling moments when they try and bring you in deeper again. And okay, so here, for example, here's Gemini. There's like a moment where they try to open up a deep conversation with you, something historically that you guys would talk about, like something personal. They bring up something from the past, just naively here. And in the past, you might have leaned in and been like, yeah, that is interesting. You might have tried to like help them, like unpack the situation, even help them solve a problem with it. But now your response just stays neutral. You're like, okay. It's just like you're not diving into emotional territory anymore the way you used to. You keep the conversation respectful, but contained on your own time, keeping your emotions guarded. And that's when their realization becomes clear for them. They're up wondering, what the hell did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? They're realizing access to you is limited. And they can tell you're not angry, you're not shutting people out on purpose, but they can tell it's because you've become more protective of your energy. That's you. You choose where your attention goes. You choose how much time you give to certain people. You choose who your Two of Cups is here. And you're absolutely comfortable and confident with those decisions. So sometimes there's this other situation that I kind of feel here. It feels like this person reaches out unexpectedly at like a time when they assumed that you'd be available. And instead of responding immediately, and they see that you read it, you answer later when it works for you. And your message is still kind. It's not cold. It's friendly. And the pattern is so clear that you are putting yourself first. So What this starts revealing to them is causing an inner conflict in them. Your boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about valuing your own time, your peace, your emotional energy. You've reached a point where you understand not every situation deserves your attention. And that awareness changes the way you move through the relationship and relationships going forward. Because when someone respects their own time, their own energy, their presence naturally becomes more valuable. And that is something they've been noticing about you, even if they haven't said it out loud or directly to you. Your presence isn't something that can be taken for granted anymore, pal, too. Whew. So, the thing that they've been quietly observing about you is this. It's this change in how you protect your time. Moments where your attention is more intentional. Moments where your availability isn't just automatic. Moments where you choose how, when, and how long you engage for. And those changes is making them realize something. Access to you has become more limited. And it's not because you're a completely different person, but it's because you've started putting yourself first. And they've definitely noticed that. All right. If you were drawn to more than one pile, go ahead, watch the other pile now. Otherwise, check out the bonus collective message at the very end of this reading. We'll meet you there. Bye. Pile 3, you chose Rose Quartz. This is all about love and loving yourself and loving others around you. All right. So for this group, the thing they've been quietly noticing about you is something that doesn't come from anything you said, like pile 1. It doesn't come from it comes from the way you carry yourself now, actually. Because at some point, your energy started feeling different, like more certain of yourself, more confident in yourself. And they've been noticing that change more than you realize, I think, here. So let's see what triggered this moment. Ooh, Cancer, Virgo. Okay. So this happens during a conversation. It's something simple, like you guys are talking about your plans together, something you're working towards, something you decided to do and didn't check in with them first. Not that you have to. And the way you're speaking about it feels different than before. You sound sure. You sound confident of yourself. You sound like you know what you're saying, you know? And in the past, you may have asked for validation, asked for opinions, wondered what do other people think of this? Yeah, this is you looking for reassurance before making certain decisions. But this time, you're simply just sharing what you've already decided on. Here's Gemini. And that's when they notice something here. Here's Scorpio. They notice that you're not asking for approval or validation. You're just sharing about which avenue you're headed, you know? Like someone, you're someone who trusts their own judgment now is what it seems like. And they're like, what? Who's this? You know? They remember a time when you were super uncertain with yourself, when you were still figuring things out. But now your tone feels super steady, delayed, revealed. But what catches their attention the most is it's not even what you said though. It's how comfortable you seem with your own decisions. Second trigger moment for them, okay, was a hanged man moment. So another moment that happened that was like a realization for them is they see you somewhere out with friends, talking with people, and it created this tower moment. It was just you interacting like normally, you know? And your presence is relaxed, calm, cool, collected. You have Aquarius here and you have Libra here. You're not adjusting yourself to fit the environment anymore. Like you're just being yourself, you know? And that's when another sort of observation forms here. So your confidence feels natural and that's new. You see this new beginning card here. So obviously sometimes confidence shows up in small ways. And this is Sagittarius. It's like the way someone speaks, the way they stand, the way they hold their shoulders back, whatever. Or like the way they respond when someone disagrees with them. Here's Leo. And that person's starting to notice those little things about you, you know? Taurus. Someone's calling you out in public and you're just like, whatever, I don't care. You don't even get defensive anymore. You're just chilling. You explain your perspective and then it's end of decision. You're not trying to convince everyone to agree with you anymore. You're just comfortable standing by your own decision, your own choices here. So there's these like little micro moments where like with the King of Pentacles here and the Queen of Wands, they might see something online. It was like a post or a photo or something like about what you're doing lately. Here's Aries. And the energy behind it is different. Like the vibe's different. Your face looks different. You look like someone who's moving forward with their own life, not waiting for permission or like tiptoeing around someone. Just like living according to your own agenda, you know? And that's when they start to realize a few things here. That you're trusting yourself more now than you did when you guys were together. And that triggers them. Your energy's way more certain. And the way you talk about your life and your plans and the things you're passionate about reflect those changes. So sometimes this realization kind of deepens during another interaction. And maybe they ask you about something you're planning or something new you're doing. And the way you answer feels kind of chill, like just confident. You're not hesitating. You're not unsure about things anymore. You're just explaining what you're doing and why it feels right, and that's it. So that level of self-trust really stands out because it shows that there's growth, like you've grown since you guys were together. Here's Pisces. So at that point, they might start comparing how you are now to how you used to be. They remember moments where you guys question yourself, where you questioned yourself more and you were still trying to figure out what direction felt right, wrong, up, down. They remember you asking for advice, you asking for, should I do this? Should I do that? What about this? What about that? You were trying to make sure that your choices made sense and aligned with what they believed in. And then when you compare that version of you to this one now, it's like a huge difference because to them, they see that you've grown more confident in your own voice, in your own decisions. You trust your instincts more. You don't need to rely on them. And you're capable of making decisions now. And that kind of self-trust changes the way someone shows up in your everyday world. It changes the way they carry themselves, their tone, their presence. And those changes are exactly what they've been noticing about you. So what the realization begins revealing to them is this. There's something meaningful. So your growth is actually really meaningful to them because they see you in a new light. So Confidence like this comes from experience, from experiencing things, learning things, going through shitty things, trusting yourself after really difficult situations you've been in. And like, that's not easy, obviously. You need self-awareness, you need honesty, you need trust in yourself. And none of those were present before. So now people can see that in you. And now that you're trusting your own judgment, so now that you trust your own judgment, you don't need reassurance going forward. That stands out to people. Even if they're not willing to say it out loud. So the thing they've been quietly observing about you is this growing confidence, moments where you seem more certain with yourself, moments where you trust your own voice, trust your own judgment, where your direction feels clear, not scattered anymore. And in those moments, they begin to realize something. You're not second guessing yourself the way you used to. You're going to move forward with a stronger sense of who you are. And that quiet confidence is something they've definitely been noticing. Pile 4, you chose the clear quartz. This is all about seeing things clearly and working on your spirituality. So for this group, the thing they've been quietly noticing about you is something that feels kind of subtle, but very noticeable at the same time. Because the connection between you two still exists. Like, you guys aren't broken up. You guys still interact. You still communicate. But the emotional intensity that used to exist doesn't feel the same anymore. And they've been noticing that, obviously. So let me see if I can get some clarity on that here. Okay, so this happens during an interaction together. You guys like run into each other somewhere. There's like a conversation. You have Gemini here. There's like a message exchange. And the interaction itself feels nice. Here's Capricorn and Leo. You're friendly, light, respectful, but there's something about the tone that feels different. Because in the past, conversations between you guys may have carried more weight, you know what I mean? Like, been more meaningful. Here's Libra and here's Scorpio. You guys used to have more intensity, more depth, more, I don't know. It feels like even small conversations felt more meaningful. But now the interaction feels like it's just casual. Like, you guys are acquaintances now. You talk, you respond. You're kind, but you don't really seem pulled into the interaction the way you once were. You're not trapped in the interaction. Do you see that? The 8 of arrows. And the thing that makes them sort of pause for a sec isn't the conversation itself. It's what happens after. So, for example, the 10 of arrows here, the 6 of cups. This person might have messaged you about something small, something normal, and you respond. You're friendly. The conversation is fine. It flows for a few messages, but then it naturally just ends. And you don't reopen it later. You just leave it. This is you, a high priestess. You're not going to circle back to it with another thought and be like, oh, you know what? I was thinking about what you said. You don't be like, oh, so what ended up happening with X, Y, and Z? Like what you would have done before. You just continue on with your day. So at first they start assuming nothing's changed. They get busy. They have responsibilities. Sun here. But then it keeps happening over and over. The sun's a new beginning. So this person tries to bring up things that used to bring up a deeper conversation. Here's Virgo, something emotional, something personal. Here's Pisces. But you're still kind, still thoughtful, but you don't dive into it the same way you used to. Here's Sagittarius. You acknowledge it, you talk about it, that's it. 5 of Wands here. So sometimes this realization deepens sort of like through another moment. Page of Pentacles here. This person might have seen you somewhere as well at like a coffee place or something, talking with someone. And you like look super relaxed, comfortable, relaxed. You're not scanning the room, like looking for the next person. You're not like trying to put on a show or entertain this person. You're just focused on the conversation you're in. And that moment makes them pause like, oh, she was always trying to entertain me. She was always trying to keep me happy. You got 2 4s here. Your emotional focus doesn't really seem centered on them anymore. And they're realizing that. Not in like a really bad way or cold way or like cut them off way, but in a way that feels like you're just doing your own things here. Your energy's lighter, less attached. You're the Empress, less invested in them. 2 of Pentacles. Another thing they noticed is there was a decision and they tried to help you with that, but you didn't want their help. Like they saw something online and they wanted to help you with it, but you didn't need help. You're like, no, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm good. No, thanks. So like, it's not the post itself. It was like that you didn't need their help with it. You were present in your own life, busy doing whatever you're doing, and you didn't need help from anyone, especially not them. Knight of Cups. 4 of Wands. So that observation really reinforced what they were already telling themselves, that your emotional focus has switched from them to yourself. So at this point, they're going to start remembering you for what you used to be like, you know? They remember what interactions between you guys like used to look like, how you guys used to be super intense together. You got Cancer here. They remember moments where your personality, like your vibe used to be invested. You cared. You paid attention. You responded strongly to certain topics and they knew you would. So this is Taurus and this is Aquarius and Aries here. And there's like a very, very big difference now. 9 of Pentacles. So it's obvious that you've stepped back emotionally and that created this tower moment for them. You're not angry. You're not trying to prove something. You're just changed your priorities, you know? Your energy feels calmer, feels more centered in your own life. It's less attached to the dynamic between you and them. And they've noticed that like more and more now. Whoa. So what this realization begins revealing to them is something really important about you. Your presence in the connection is meaningful. When you were invested, it added deepness to the relationship, created intensity. It created emotional closeness between you two. And now your energy feels a lot lighter. They can notice that there's an absence there. And the investment that you're putting in changes how you experience one another, right? So when someone's more detached, the difference becomes clear. 7 of Arrows. So the thing that they've been quietly observing about you is this growing emotional detachment. They can feel you pulling away. Moments where interactions feel lighter. Moments where interactions feel less, feel softened. And where your attention seems focused elsewhere. So through those moments, they begin wondering something. Has your focus changed entirely? Because the way you're carrying yourself suggests that you're changed and that you might be directed towards someone else or new priorities. And that's something that they're definitely noticing, even if they haven't said it out loud. Follow us into the next message. It's a bonus collective message. We'll see if there's anything for you there. Bye. Welcome to the bonus message. If you're here, there's something for you here. So what are these observations making them reconsider? And we'll do some angel messages. So for some of you, the things they've been noticing about you didn't stand out right away. So the changes seemed small, almost like easy to overlook here. But over time, as these moments kept repeating, kept coming up, they started recognizing this pattern. You got Aries and Gemini. They started realizing she's changed, he's changed, but in a way that's like consistent, like consistently changed. They're like, they've changed themselves. Virgo here, your boundaries, your independence, your confidence, your being detached, Scorpio and Capricorn. So when someone observes those kind of changes, ooh, you got Leo, it makes them reconsider something here. Because when a person grows, it changes the way the relationships feel for everyone. So at some point, they begin asking themselves a quiet question. Did I fully understand this person when I had the chance? Because sometimes people don't really recognize someone's value until they're gone. But they ask themselves that and they're like, no, I don't think so. But they're like, why aren't they reacting the way they used to? That's weird. It's Taurus. And when those changes happen, it's like it can make someone sort of continue reflecting the past to see what went wrong, when the change happened. And like things that didn't seem important at the time, like what is that? I'm going to replay everything in my head. That's what they're telling themselves. And those memories begin to like start looking different for them. Sometimes people also like start recognizing something about the role you played in their life and how your presence brought like a certain emotional, I don't know, like deepness to their life, like just being sincere. You weren't someone who showed up halfway. You showed up with open arms. Okay, I'm here. I'll invest, And that kind of like sincerity can be easy to take advantage of in the moment, especially if someone assumes a connection will always be there. But when your behavior starts changing, it changes the way that they interpret the past. Because now they're recognizing something clearly. Your growth is real. The way you protect your time is real. The way you trust your decisions, the way you direct your energy towards things you want, towards your own life. Those things show someone who has grown, evolved. It's someone who understands their value more deeply, other than pushing all their love onto others, not investing their energy in others that don't, no longer putting their energy in things that don't serve them. So that kind of growth is very, very powerful. Queen of Cups was your shadow card. And this isn't forcing anyone to react. You're just living your life. You're someone who learns from experiences. Someone who reflects on what has happened, grows from what has happened, learns from what has happened. And when a person evolves in that way, it naturally changes the way others see them. So now you're more grounded, more self-aware, more independent, overall grown up. And that's scary to some people. So let's look at some of your angel messages, because sometimes angels can give you messages that you're after. So your first one that popped out is you are never alone, believe. And your second one, while you have a pulse, while you have a pulse, make every beat of your heart count. Don't let life pass you by, be among it and live it. Seeing a rainbow is a sign your loved one's in spirit. And I had this one pop out, so I'll say it anyways. When you live in the moment, you will discover delight in simple things. Thanks so much for spending your energy with me. As always, take care of yourself first, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye.